The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, shout out to everybody out there. It is currently Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live and direct from none other than the greatest place to be in the world, South Florida. Stand up. We here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a great show for you guys today, great topics to discuss. There's quite a lot to dissect because, although boxing, it is a bit of a slow weekend so far as fights are concerned. There's not really any like massive fights or any, fights that people are overly excited about. There is still important things happening in our sport. And I would even venture to say that some of the most important things in our sport are happening right now down there in Mexico, down there in Acapulco, Mexico. And today, for those that know, for those that don't know, was the WBC ratings committee meeting. And for those of you who don't know what this is, basically what this is this is part of the WBC convention where all the power brokers in boxing, all the managers and promoters of all the fighters in boxing, they kind of congregate in this one area. And they politic with the WBC. They politic with the WBC, and they pretty much state why their fighters should and shouldn't get a higher ranking. And this is also where the WBC also reveals the new rankings, so then they can protest the new rankings in real time, and they can lobby for their boxers to get a higher ranking. It's no different than like when you see in the realm of politics, when you have lobbyists try to enable certain laws to get passed in the in our government. It's kind of the same sort of concept. So with that being said and established here on True School Sports, a lot happened today. Quite a lot happened, and we're gonna get into all that. But before we get into that, let's take some time to acknowledge the fine folk who showed up. For the fine folks who did show up, do me a favor and help the channel out and smash that like button if you haven't done so already. Let's get into it. So my man Dark Eagle 123 says, "Say it ain't so." Yep. What the title of the live is, that's what happened today. So we'll get into that in a second. Linda, what's up, champ? Why are they blocking the fight? We'll get into that here in a second. Brandon D. Hooker says, "God bless everyone that tunes in live for the chat. Topic sounds interesting, so definitely going to catch it on the playback in the AM from work." All right, Brandon. Well, as you come back home from the work in the AM, hope you had a nice night at work and enjoy the playback. Weeblo Canelo, yes sir. David Easter, shout out to you. Jesus Sam, saludos, Jesus. And then we got my main man Michael Manning. He was there. Michael Manning was there with me in the chat on Boxing ID, watching the committee meeting, and we were kind of interacting a little bit. But yeah, and tomorrow, for those that don't know, for those that want to follow what's going on at the WBC convention, tomorrow, as Michael Manning stated, it's going to be they're going to call the WBC is going to reveal all of their mandatories for tomorrow. So definitely be in tune for that. But a lot happened today, guys. Some good and some not so good, but we're going to discuss all of it, the good, bad, and the indifference. So the main thing that happened today that I wanted to discuss with you guys was that it looks like Bivol versus Beterbiev, I should say, the undisputed fight between the two Russian champions that we really, really want to see in boxing, it is in jeopardy. Now, it's in jeopardy for not one reason, but literally two reasons. Now, the first reason why I truly believe this fight could be in jeopardy is because the WBC dropped this little bombshell on us today, and that bombshell was none other than the fact that the WBC has announced that all fighters, all of them, from Russia and Belarus will be removed from the rankings, effective immediately. The reason that all Russian and Belarusian boxers are being removed from the rankings is because of the war in the Ukraine, and that's what it is. So the WBC is not in the business of sanctioning fights from fighters involved with either nation. Now, I didn't hear any clarification on this from Mauricio Suliaman, so if somebody heard something that I didn't, let me know. But last time I checked, Artur Beterbiev is the WBC champion. So If they're not going to sanction fights Russian fighters, does that include Russian fighters who hold their belts? Because one of the top fights that boxing fans are salivating over is Beterbiev versus Bivol. Both are Russian. One holds a belt. So yeah, I think it's a fair question. Now, when I first caught wind of this is me on Twitter. I tweeted Jake Donovan and I said, "This is corny as hell because the fighters have nothing to do with the war," and it's the truth. Fighters don't have anything to do with what's going on with, you know, all them guys out there in those countries. Most of those fighters don't even agree with what's going on out there, and they'd rather the war stop so that they can be at peace and not have to worry about their families dying or hiding under a bunker. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Victor Postal, you know, one of the top fighters from the Ukraine, Victor Postal had his family hiding in a bunker going into the Gary Anton Russell fight. So I'm sure for guys like him who still want to achieve some things in their career and enjoy what's left of their boxing career, they don't want to be worried about if their kids and their wife died in an explosion while they were hiding in a bunker. All right. So that's reason number one. The second reason why I think the Beterbiev-Bivol fight could be in jeopardy is because first, this gets announced. They first announce this. They say, "Oh well, we're not going to sanction fights between Russian boxers because of what's going on with Russia and Ukraine." Then they say right here, Mauricio Suliaman says that Artur Beterbiev must defend his WBC title after he fights Anthony Yarde. Now, for those that know, for those that don't know, Anthony Yarde is the WBO mandatory. That is due January 28th. Now, I talked about this. I've talked about this in older videos. I've stated this before. I've stated that the reason why I wanted that Anthony Yarde fight to get knocked out as soon as possible for Beterbiev, because I feared as Callum Smith and other guys in the rankings started to move up that they were going to call a mandatory. And lo and behold, here we are in November of 2022, and they've called a mandatory, and it's Callum Smith. So if he doesn't fight Callum Smith after he fights Anthony Yarde, he will more than likely be stripped. So unless, you know, his people, his management can work out a deal to where they can get an exemption to not have to fight this mandatory with Callum Smith, I think at the earliest, if he has to fight Yarde and then he has to fight Smith, then you're looking at Bivol versus Beterbiev at the earliest, probably happening in the fourth quarter of next year. You know, so I don't know. I'm not really too excited about the prospect of hearing this because, you know, Beterbiev's no spring chicken. Beterbiev is not young. The sooner this fight can happen for him, the better. You know, I would hate to see him, you know, fight Anthony Yarde or somebody and suffer an injury or just get more wear and tear on his body, and then all of a sudden he goes into the Bivol fight and he's not his best. We want to see these guys at their absolute best because we don't want no excuses or dishonor from either side when the fight happens. You know, Bivol and Beterbiev are two great fighters, elite fighters, creme de la creme, top shelf fighters, and we want to see the fight happen when it's supposed to happen. So that's really why I'm pissed off about that situation. Now, I see we got some special people in the comments, all right? Everyone, I want everyone here, okay? Everyone who's watching it live right now, please give your respect and please give all your adulation to my main man, 50 grand, the light heavyweight contender himself, Steve Gaffard. He's in the chat. Shout out to Steve. You know, Steve's a good friend of the channel. Steve Gaffard, top amateur. Steve Gaffard, the former world title challenger who fought Joe Smith Jr. earlier this year. He's here in the comments. And I know he's a big Beterbiev fan. He says, Beterbiev is Canadian now, so he might be good. That is true. That might be his loophole to avoid that whole situation. But if he's fighting Bivol's still Russian. So, you know, I don't know how that works. If Bivol is still Russian, would they sanction a fight between Beterbiev and Bivol? That's the thing. It's not one Russian, it's two Russians. So I'm not so sure how that works, but hopefully they can make that fight happen. Again, we got somebody else great in the chat. We got my man Daniel Rubin out there from Pro Box Promotions. He says, Canadian or not, Bivol is going to knock out Beterbiev easy. Yeah, listen, that Bivol straight right hand. People say Bivol don't get knockouts. People say Bivol can't do this and Bivol can't do that. Bivol has had a knockout against Sullivan Barrera. he hasn't had to have a knockout since Sullivan Barrera. Bivol, when he hit Zotto with that first straight right hand, Zotto went into complete shock, and it got his respect instantly. Now, Beterbiev's a different type of animal. He's a different type of savage. So I'm very intrigued to see, how both these guys would look in the ring with each other. But we need that fight. There's no need to play around and call extra unnecessary mandatories. Like, with all due respect to Callum Smith, who's a good fighter, he beat Lenin Castillo and he beat Mateo Badalik. All right. That's not exactly like the creme de la creme as far as competition is concerned. He can wait. All right. He can wait. He can, step aside. We want this fight. Look, my man Steve. Steve's in the light heavyweight division. I'm sure Steve would want to see this fight because I know Steve likes Beterbiev a lot. He says, Bivol might be a USA citizen now, too. He gets bought a crib not too far from me, but not 100% sure about his status. Bivol in South Florida? Bivol's in South Florida now? I didn't know that. Bivol, that's crazy. Bivol's in South Florida. Let me see. My man James Valdez is in the chat. Shout out to everyone here. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire, talking about what the hell happened at this WBC ratings meeting today, because it was absolutely just so much to keep track of. Like, I was on my phone taking notes every 2 seconds because they had all the different managers and people trying to petition for their fighters to move up rankings, move down rankings, move in different divisions for rankings. I mean, whenever people say boxing's a business, it's more than just a sport. When you watch things like the WBC ratings committee meetings, then you get a sense of what that truly means at the deepest levels. It's ridiculous. Let me see. Steve is correct. Okay, so yeah, I guess they have loopholes. So Bivol's a American citizen, Beterbiev is a Canadian citizen. So it's not Russia versus Russia. It's the USA versus Canada technically. So hopefully, I hope you guys are right. I hope that's how the WBC looks at it, because if they look at it, no, these guys are Russian, and they want to just be political for no reason, then they're gonna block what's a great fight and ruin what I believe is a good business opportunity for themselves. So, hopefully they get it together. Shout out to my dad. My dad says, today I learned about the craziness of boxing and promoters lobbying for ranking for their fighters. I also like when some boxers showed up and spoke to the WBC president for the first time. Yes, this was a common theme today. Now, to all the fighters out there, because I don't know who's watching this video except from Steve, but I know a lot of fighters do watch my videos. You guys need to be at these sort of like meetings at these WBC conventions, because as corny as it may sound and whatnot, it can make a difference. It can make a difference in your ranking position. It can make a difference between, how quickly you get a mandatory title shot. It's very important that boxers, if they can afford to go to wherever the hell these conventions are held, sometimes like the WBO conventions in Puerto Rico, the WBC convention this year was in Mexico, but the WBC is in different places every year. I know that the WBC conventions, they've had it here in South Florida one time 6 years ago when I went. They had it in Azerbaijan. They've had it in all kinds of countries. So it's always important to stay up to date with what's going on with these conventions, because if you can get to them, you can really put yourself ahead of a lot of the fighters in your weight class for ranking position. Let me see. What's up to the chat? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Yeah, we're just going through what happened in the WBC convention, because it was a lot today. But we need this fight. Callum Smith could be a dangerous fight for Beterbiev, maybe, who knows? But like right now, who gives a damn? Who gives a damn right now? You got Dmitry Bivol, who's running through the entire weight class. He just beat Canelo. He just beat Zotto easily. He's beaten already Jean Pascal and Joe Smith. Beterbiev's knocked out everything in sight, and I've heard stories from a lot of people, whether it be Steve or Coach Russ Amber or just whoever. Beterbiev puts these dudes in body bags in camp, and he's putting these dudes in body bags in the ring. It's an elite boxer puncher. Really, I see it as two elite boxer punchers, because Beterbiev just isn't a puncher. They're both, in my opinion, boxer punchers. Although I think Bivol leans more to that of a boxer. Beterbiev leans more to that of a puncher. But they're both really great at what they do. You know what I'm saying? So let me see. Steve Gaffar says, I went to the one in Miami. It was pretty crazy watching the fighters move up and down just by showing up with the manager. Yeah, Steve was there. That was back in 2016. They had it at the Diplomat Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. I was there. I mean, literally, when the WBC convention happens, all of boxing congregates to wherever the hell it is. So you start seeing like all the guys you see in the Ring Magazine rankings, top 10, they're just all under one roof. And they show up with their managers, and everybody's there. So it's important for fighters to go. And it can make all the difference. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Who else we got here? We got my man David. We got Hand History Vault says Suliaman is coming rat. I wouldn't be surprised if he blocked it. However, BT, the question is, why would he block it? Because the WBC is a powerful organization, and he has his own personal beliefs about what's going on over there with Ukraine and Russia, and he wants to impose his beliefs onto fighters, active participants in boxing who have fuck all to do with what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia. What does Beterbiev-Bivol, like? They're not in the political realm of what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Bivol and Beterbiev ain't telling Putin what to do and what not to do. That's beyond their control. So I just don't think fighters should be affected by what's going on out of their control. It's not fair. It really isn't fair. And this is a great fight. And I feel like if the WBC blocks this fight because of Callum Smith and or this whole thing now with Russia and Ukraine they got going on now, then they're doing that, not just themselves a big disservice, but the whole sport of boxing a disservice. It would be a massive crime against the sport of boxing if this fight don't happen within 2023. Uber Crespo says, "What's up, champ? I'm trying to get back into the boxing loop. I'm working way too much. Let's go, champ." Well, you can't listen. You came to the right place. You came to the home of boxing. So good to see you, champ. You know, you're always welcome here, Ruben. I like seeing you in the comments because you're one of the OG viewers. You've been watching the channel for a long time. So definitely, this fight is bigger than undisputed. I agree. Like I think if Bivol and Beterbiev wasn't here for all the belts, then I would sit here and say, you know what, it's still a great fight. It could be a non-title fight, and it would still be one of the top 3 best fights in boxing. Just because at that level, those two guys are they're doing crazy, great things. So yeah, listen, you guys, I've laid it out there for you with Bivol and Beterbiev. Leave your thoughts on that down below, and I'll definitely get back to it as I go through what else happened at the WBC convention today. Joey Chaz says he believes Bivol and Beterbiev will sell out a big stadium in Europe, and absolutely that'd be massive in Europe, and hopefully it happens. That's what we're here for. But anyway, kind of switching gears because there's a lot to talk about. There's so much to happen today, and I don't want to make 40 videos about it. So it better just to do a whole live about it and get it out that way. You know what I'm saying? So apart from that, the WBC also stated today, Mauricio Suliaman announced that the WBC have voted. So Mauricio Suliaman, in conjunction with the World Championship Committee, have voted to make it mandatory to have women's fights on every card where a WBC title is on the line. So basically, if let's just say Beterbiev or whomever, if Beterbiev's fighting, or Gaio Estrada or whoever has WBC belt, if they're fighting, then they're making it a requirement to have women's fights on the card. Now, look, I like women's boxing. I have probably covered women's boxing and advocated for it more than most people, but I don't think that's fair to promoters. If promoters don't want to put or can't find, let's just say maybe they can't find a women's fight, a good, credible women's fight to put on TV, then they shouldn't be forced to, because one thing about women's boxing is that women's boxing is, the talent pool is very thin. Like, and sometimes you may not even be able to find a good, credible matchup. So is it fair for the WBC to be pushing women's boxing down people's throats in this regard? I don't think so, but that did happen today. So you guys let me know what you think about that in the comments, and I'll definitely get to you. Let me see. So, but anyway, what else happened today? I mean, there was just so much. I mean, then you had okay, now this right here, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When this happened, I started going crazy. I was watching this with my dad, and I was watching when the Golden Boy matchmaker, because Roberto Diaz, who's the matchmaker for Golden Boy, he was the representative for Golden Boy Promotions today. He steps up to the podium and he says that he wanted to make Vergil Ortiz, his fighter, who's currently, I believe, the number 2 contender. He asked for a final eliminator to fight Keith one-time Thurman. Now, I got excited because I'm like, yes, let's go. If the WBC approves this, then we get Virgil versus Keith Thurman. Virgil gets a shot against a top name. Keith Thurman gets a shot at a young fighter. It's a great fight. Then on top of that, that leaves Errol Spence kind of out in the dark. Errol Spence would be more than likely have to fight Jaron Ennis, or it'd be that the percentage would definitely be higher. So I got excited about that. But then it got even crazier, right? It got even crazier. So he asked for an eliminator fight to happen between those two. And then Mauricio Suliaman, he responded by saying that pretty much no, he denies him, right? Like the committee talks about it. They deny the request for the final eliminator. And then Mauricio Suliaman drops a bomb. He says the reason why we're not going to honor your request is because the WBO has already declared Vergil Ortiz the mandatory challenger for Terence Crawford. And I'm like, okay, I don't remember hearing about that myself. I don't remember the WBO calling for Vergil Ortiz to be mandatory. And apparently neither does Roberto Diaz, because Roberto Diaz said he was made aware of it by the WBO that Vergil Ortiz was the mandatory for Terence Crawford. So it's kind of weird that like Mauricio Suliaman knows this, but then Roberto Diaz doesn't know this. So something's kind of fishy about that. But what I choose to believe, just being honest with you guys, what I choose to believe in regards to that whole situation is that I genuinely feel like Vergil Ortiz was probably called to be WBO mandatory. And it goes back to what I was saying about Crawford. I genuinely feel like and truly believe like Terence Crawford bypassed Boots, bypassed Virgil, and he went and he fought David Avanesyan. That's what I've always thought since the whole Avanesyan Crawford thing became a thing. So hopefully tomorrow when the WBC Convention commences again tomorrow, and they start revealing all the mandatories for the weight classes in their organization. Hopefully, Roberto Diaz can give some clarity as to what happened with the WBO and Vergil Ortiz, because I want to know if he was mandatory, because if he is the WBO mandatory, then that means that Terence Crawford didn't want to fight him, and he chose on purpose an easier fight. And look, it's boxing, it's prize fighting. I understand guys are going to choose the lesser opponent for more money. I get all that. But, I mean, a lot of people are very upset that this Crawford-Spence fighting happening. So, I like I've said, if Spence and Crawford aren't fighting each other, then they should be going the route of fighting Virgil or Boots. If one of them fights Virgil and one of them fights Boots, then I think that's great for boxing. And it gives the young guys a chance, and it gives Crawford and Spence to really enhance their legacies even more. And then if they both somehow beat Boots and Virgil, which I don't think they would, but if they did, then to me that would make their fight even bigger, even bigger than it already is. So that's just what it is, man. So there's more to talk about, there's more to dissect, but before I get caught up in what else happened, let's get to some comments, because I know a lot of people are here. Let me see. Make sure you smash that like button, the untouchable True School Sports Empire in prime time, making it do what it do. Let me see. This computer's being a little slow right now. Got all these damn tabs open. Let me see. I wanted to get to Steve Gaffard's comment, because it's not every day you have a light heavyweight contender in the chat. But Steve Gaffard commented, and he said, Beterbiev has more than one belt, so they can fight for the others. Absolutely. I agree with that. I would like to see Beterbiev and just make that fight happen. Personally, look, if it doesn't happen for undisputed, then I'm okay with it, because this is a fight that boxing needs. I think it's taking people a long time to buy into Bivol and Beterbiev, but people are sold. People are bought in all the way now, and I don't think we need to waste any more time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you, Steve. The WBC is one of the main reasons why boxing is dying, not just the promotional companies who rig the fights. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what some of the things that they did today. Beterbiev scares me. He has that killer look, like he actually has taken a life. He is Chechnyan, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, he kind of has that, like, he kind of moves like a mob boss. Beterbiev is a really, really scary dude. And Steve, like, I know Steve is here, but I know multiple people that have sparred with Beterbiev, and they all tell me the same thing. Lionel Thompson, same thing. He told me the same thing. He says this guy Beterbiev is something to behold. Hawker Mustang says it's good to have a women's boxing on the card so everybody can go take a bathroom break. Damn. Hawker Mustang says good. He's looking at it from the positive side of things. That's proof that Vergil Ortiz don't want to fight Terence Crawford, though. How is that proof? We don't know that Virgil. Something's not adding up. So I think we gotta wait for the details to come out. I personally think Terence Crawford. I think it's the other way around, because I was there last year. I went to the Vergil Ortiz Maurice Hooker fight, and I was there when Virgil started insinuating that he wanted to fight Crawford next. Terence was like, he's not ready, but then now he's fighting David Avanesyan. So how come he didn't say David Avanesyan wasn't ready? Yes, thank you, Daniel. I'm glad Daniel's here, dropping good comments, because he's right about this. This one right here was absolutely ridiculous. So he said Kevin Rooney asked, and by the way, for those who don't know who Kevin Rooney is, he works at Matchroom Boxing. He was at the WBC Convention representing Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, and the fine folks across the pond there. But he said Kevin Rooney asked why Conor Benn was taken out of the WBC rankings, even though he's not suspended by any commission. What do you think about this? I thought it was funny. First, I thought it was funny, because as Mauricio Suliaman and the committee told him, the reason why he's not suspended by any commission is because he voluntarily relinquished his license. If he would have kept his license and actually showed up to the hearing that he was scheduled to be at, that Eddie Hearn whined and complained about he wasn't getting, then he would have been suspended by the British Boxing Board of Control. But it's like I said in one of my recent videos about this subject. I said it's kind of like when you're working a job and you're not doing a good job, and you know that your boss is gonna fire you. So before he fires you, you tell him and you hit him with the "You can't fire me, I quit." And that's what he did, and he relinquished his license. So it's a joke, straight joke. Let me see. David Easter says, why does Virgil want to fight Thurman? Well, no, it's not that he wants to fight or doesn't want to fight Thurman. Thurman is the #1 ranked WBC contender. Virgil was #2. So these guys aren't going to willingly fight Vergil Ortiz because he's not going to command a big purse. He's young, he's strong, and he's very good. So in order for Virgil to get a title shot in any governing body, he would either A, have to be called a mandatory, or B, win a final eliminator. So his representative, Roberto Diaz, matchmaker for Golden Boy, he requested a final eliminator so that if he wins the fight, he gets a title shot at Errol Spence. And that's what it is. Make the all Dallas welterweight super fight. That's why that Virgil never said, I want to fight Thurman, but because of how the rankings are, his management requested for a final eliminator, to which they were denied because apparently he's Terence Crawford's mandatory. So make of that what you will. Let me see. Denied. He denied them good. Fair is fair. Errol Spence should fight each other or the Young Lions. Well, Errol Spence, listen, I don't want to talk too much about those guys because I don't really have too much good to say. But like Terence Crawford and Errol Spence have had 5 years to fight each other. Five years. And it hasn't happened. And as you can see, it doesn't look like, but based on their tweets and the arguments about purse splits and transparency and financial records and all that stuff, it doesn't sound like they're anywhere close to making a fight happen anytime soon. So if they're not going to fight each other, then let them Young Lions eat. Let them young boys be great. Let me see. Yeah, no, that's what they're doing. That's what I think they're doing, the kids back. I think they're holding up the division, and that's why I want to see the Vergil Ortiz, Keith Thurman final eliminator, because then it would also take away that option from Errol Spence to fight Keith Thurman. And then Errol Spence is only left with Jaron Ennis or Styontis, to which he would probably choose Styontis, but at least we would know he doesn't want to fight Jaron Ennis if that happened. Isn't it kind of the mandatory challenger's job to mandate their status through the sanctioning body who will order the fight? Look at Munguia and Andrade. It's a good point. That's actually a good point. Now, you know what? You got a good point, because I can't be hypocritical. I did say Munguia should be pushing for a fight with Demetrius Andrade. So I guess if you look at it that way, then yeah, you could say Vergil Ortiz, he's been a little passive, but Vergil Ortiz ain't really a talkative guy, period. He's a mute, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that would avoid a fight. But, you know, I could definitely see where you're coming from. Let me see. I would love to see Ennis versus Styontis. That's another one. Ennis versus Styontis is another top fight that can happen in the welterweight division. I don't see why they don't look into making that fight, you know, because then that would eliminate some confusion we have with these mandatories, and it will make one clear-cut guy for both Spence and Crawford to go ahead and fight. So I would like that. Champ, what country is holding boxing down at the moment? Right now, truthfully, let me see. Either Russia or the Ukraine, I think, because right now the two of the best fighters in the world are Russian, which is Beterbiev and Bivol. Usyk is also in there. So them three countries, them three fighters right there, I feel like are like the top fighters. Obviously, the USA always has top fighters. We got Crawford, we got Spence, but Shakur Stevenson. But I would say Russia, the Ukraine right now, but got great fighters from everywhere. Ortiz has been ranked #1 for like 2 years. Yeah, so then I think maybe you guys got a point. Maybe Virgil has to speak up and start pressing for the fight, you know, because if he is WBO mandatory and then Golden Boy is requesting WBC final eliminators with Keith Thurman, then I could see why you guys say that. I'm not gonna sit here and be hypocritical. You know what I'm saying? But it's your boy BT, the untouchable, True School Sports Empire. We here recapping the day that was in the WBC. Samson Boxing LLC. And I know it's not Samson, it's Hyro, but hey, this is Samson Boxing LLC. Mr. Taylor, I request that you put David Benavidez in your pound-for-pound list. Fighters don't want to fight him. Thank you. Well, you know what? He's not on my pound-for-pound list until he goes ahead and he beats Caleb Plant. If he beats Caleb Plant, then we'll give him some consideration. But until he beats Caleb Plant, you know, beating up on Kyron Davis, who's not even a full-time boxer and spends just as much time in the studio as he does boxing, that don't count. He's not a 68-pounder. You know, beating up faded middleweight champions at 168 don't count either. So I like Benavidez. He's fun to watch, but he's got to do a bit more, you know. Ordinary Pete, what's good, champ? Good to see you. Hope all is well with you. Let me see. I did hear that Virgil isn't ready, or his promoter preferred to not have Terence Crawford right now. No shame. He's got a good and long career ahead of him, and he's young. He'll probably get belts at 54 and 60. Well, Virgil's pretty big for 147. So my thing is, if you're trying to become a welterweight world champion, you better get a move on, because I don't think he's making 147 much longer. I wouldn't even be surprised if he moves 54 in 2023. He's got to do something though. Let me see. One thing we can all agree on is that Jaron Ennis will fight Terence Crawford and Spence in the same night for peanuts if the opportunity presented itself. I agree. I agree. This is a kid that grew up in the gym. He's chomping at the bit for his opportunity. I mean, for Christ's sakes, people say he's this green fighter, but he's got as many, if not more, fights than Spence and Crawford. He's got like 27 or 29 fights or whatever it is. Shout out to one of my favorite viewers, Hyro. He says, "Man, I don't know who had that ridiculous request, Samson or the guy from TGB. They are both from PBC." Yeah, Samson was doing his thing. If you wanted to know why Samson Boxing is one of the top managers and most powerful men in boxing, all you had to do is watch the ratings meeting today. This dude, man, he was really lobbying for his fighters. One thing you can never say about Samson is he goes hard for his fighters. So I respect that about him. even though I don't agree with everything he does, because, and yeah, the highlight of the whole thing to me was Samson actually requested on behalf of Brian Mendoza that he be ranked at 154 because Mendoza just beat Jason Rosario at 160, which is not his natural weight class, and Samson was lobbying for him to get ranked in the WBC at 154. So that was great. I was happy about that because Brian Mendoza has been grinding for a long time. He's been doing his thing, at the Stylage gym, and the opportunity met preparation, and he beat up on one of Samson's fighters in Jason Rosario. So he did the right thing, and I respect him for that. But yeah, anyway, switching gears, and make sure you guys smash that like button so we can run it all the way up. There's just so much to happen, so please bear with me and be patient with me. So this right here, I thought was very interesting. Ryan Garcia is no longer a ranked fighter at 135. He is now the number 7 ranked contender at 140. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ryan Garcia is not a lightweight no more. He is a 140 pounder now. He, to be fair, his last fight against Javier Fortuna was at 140 at the request of Fortuna. But Ryan was still not being viewed as a 140 pounder. You see what I'm saying? And, I think this is very, very interesting because it was also revealed today that Jose Ramirez is going to get a world title shot against the winner of Prograis versus Zepeda. Now, I don't think that Jose Ramirez deserves a title shot against the Prograis Zepeda winner because I feel like he should have to fight Sandor Martin, who beat Mikey Garcia, who's been ranked there, who was ranked as high as 3 or 4 not so long ago. And I feel like he's been getting screwed. And, the guy that was representing Sandor Martin kind of let Mauricio Suliaman have it, that, hey, the rankings keep going up and down, and we're not getting our fair shake. And I agree. Sandor Martin hasn't gotten his fair shake because he beat Mikey Garcia, one of the biggest names in boxing, a former WBC champion himself in other weight classes. And he's not getting that respect. For what he accomplished that night as the underdog against Mikey Garcia. So I find it very disrespectful that Jose Ramirez is getting an immediate title shot when all Jose Ramirez ever does is get gift decisions and look bad in fights. The dude has not had a good performance in a fight since 2019 when he fought Hooker. Every fight he's had since Hooker have been like close fights, and he's been fighting good opposition, so I give him credit. But like he hasn't really shown himself to be a top shelf fighter recently. So I think he should have to fight Sandor Martin and a fight out eliminator or something like that. But anyway, I say all that to say that Ryan Garcia is now a 140-pound fighter. So, if Ramirez is going to fight the winner of Zepeda versus Prograis, don't be the least bit surprised if we see Ryan Garcia get a world title shot within his next 2 fights. Also, keep in mind, Gervonta Davis, he just tweeted something on Twitter earlier. He said that he just tweeted the word January on his Twitter account, and people think he's hinting at a fight against Ryan Garcia in January. Now, with that being said, I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it does, but I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe the winner of that fight gets a title shot, and I don't know, but take it how you want to take it. Ryan Garcia is now officially a ranked fighter at 140. So goodbye to the lightweight division for Ryan Garcia. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that down below. You know what I'm saying? We got let's see what else we got. Oh, and then like one of the more overlooked stories of the day from the WBC convention was the fact that Andy Cruz, they had the lawyer, the famous attorney lawyer from here in South Florida, here in Miami, Tony Gonzalez. He was there on behalf of, I think, Don King and a couple other people. He was there, and he requested, as per the WBC, that Andy Cruz get a ranking position in the top 30 already. Now, Andy Cruz, for those of you who don't know, a story broke, I think, last night or this morning that apparently Andy Cruz has successfully defected from Cuba to the Dominican Republic. And he's going to be over there in the Dominican Republic looking to make his pro debut very soon, turning pro. And that'd be great. I mean, if I feel like Andy Cruz, he's one of these fighters that deserve special treatment only because of what he's accomplished in the amateurs. The same thing like Lomachenko. Lomachenko won 2 gold medals, and he was a top creme de la creme amateur. He fought for a world title his second fight. So why can't Andy Cruz be ranked top 30? You know, it's only fair. So there's definitely that. And then after this tweet, I'm gonna go to the comments here in a second. And then I found this one very interesting. So you had the fine folks from Eye of the Tiger Management going there to the WBC and petitioning that basically, their fighter, the super middleweight contender who's currently ranked number 2, Christian and Billy, they want Christian and Billy to fight in a, I believe it was an eliminator. I'm waiting for this tweet to load up because I forgot what they said, and this computer is being really slow right now. But they said, what I liked what they did was, the first thing they did was point out that Canelo has not fought any mandatories in a long time, which is true. Canelo don't know what a mandatory is. He ain't fought a mandatory in forever. So they requested on behalf of their fighter, Christian and Billy, that he either become a mandatory to Canelo in the WBC or that they grant him a final eliminator. Now, Christian and Billy, for those that don't know, is a very exciting fighter. He's a guy that I feel like whether he becomes champion or not, he's just a fun guy to watch. Very explosive, punches hard, quick, heavy hands. Definitely a TV-friendly fighter. And if they had been if he gets to fight for a mandatory spot, who knows? Maybe he comes to the back door and he becomes an opponent for Canelo. So shout out to the fine folks at Eye of the Tiger Management, looking out for the fighter, doing what's best. You know what I'm saying? We here on True School Sports, home of boxing. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new, take the time to subscribe because we're on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and I want that 50K sooner rather than later. At least before my birthday in February, I want 50K. So help me get there. But I appreciate everyone here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about what's went on today. Definitely let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what city, what state, what continent or country you're watching from, because I want to see how international we are in this broadcast. Anyway, let's get to the comments. My man, Boxing Pound for Pound Jack says, respectfully, Samson is a great scout, but not so great as a promoter. I think that's a fair comment. I don't know if you could say he's not a great promoter. I feel like he's growing into becoming a promoter. You can't say he hasn't done what David Benavidez, because even though I criticized Samson, and even though Samson delayed the fight with Plant and Benavidez for 3 years, you can't argue that from January 2020 when he made those statements to now that David Benavidez's stock has gone up exponentially. He's a much bigger name. Now it's gotten to a point where you can't talk about Canelo without talking about David Benavidez. And I remember when I was in Las Vegas just last year for Caleb Plant Canelo Fight Week, and that's all I heard. David Benavidez this, David Benavidez that. So I feel like Samson's done the right things. He's done what he's needed to do to garner some hype and some attention for his fighter. And his fighter, Benavidez, has done right by him by looking sensational against the guys they put in front of him. You know what I'm saying? Even though most of them aren't 68-pounders. Yeah, man, that dude was a beast. Sandor Martin's representative, whoever the guy was, that guy was putting it on Mauricio Suliaman. He was letting them know. And he was telling them, hey, you keep fucking us over. You're not giving us a fair shake. Where's the love for the Spaniards, man? Where's the love for the Spaniards? BT, the most drama in the WBC to me was when Ryan Rozicki and Mauricio were going at it. I don't remember that. So you got to refresh my memory on what happened with that. I used to like Jose Ramirez, but not so much anymore. He needs to go farm with his son, Mahi Garcia, and be a recycling activist. Yeah, man. Like you guys tell me, because I know we got a lot of intelligent people here in the comments. You guys tell me, when was the last time somebody avoided fighting for a world title because they got married and then came back and they get to fight for a world title automatically? That's the I can't think of a time, but in my estimation, I've never seen anything like that in boxing. But if anybody who knows more than me or just knows about boxing in general, just let me know, because I can't think of a time that happened. Oh, he's getting a world title shot against Prograis Cepeda winner because he won on a honeymoon. That's the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. The stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. Chris Andre Boxing. Big shout out to Chris Andre Boxing. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Chris Andre Boxing. Andre Boxing, coming to you from the UK, giving you guys that content. Shout out to you, champ. San Antonio, Texas in the building. Love San Antonio, Texas. I love one of my favorite cities in America. Shout out to you, James Football, as well. Oh, man. Hyro says, yo, BT, did you see the woman that was representing Samuel Taya? You mean Serafina? Of course. I've met Serafina. I don't know her like that, but I know of her, and she's a prominent figure in boxing. She used to work for Greg Cohen Promotions. I don't know if she's still with Greg Cohen Promotions, but yeah, she was there for Samuel Taya. She requested that Samuel Taya get in the rankings for what weight class is he in? I don't even remember. I think 140, something like that. So yeah, good fighter. Samuel Taya, good fighter. He beat Kenneth Sims. Hopefully, she can help him get a move on with his career. David Eason says, I really like Johnny Beck, but when he was first starting out, if you go on his record on Box Track, he went the distance with a few bottom feeders who had been chinned. Can I trust him for a knockout bet against this weekend? Against Bentley? Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. I think Bentley's Bentley's been knocked up. Listen, if Bentley goes the distance with Johnny Beck, then Johnny Beck's next fight needs to be Felix Cash, because Felix Cash already knocked out Denzel Bentley in 3 rounds. So if Johnny Beck don't get him out of there, then Johnny Beck he's not as good as I think he is. He can't get him out of there. I'm not saying he's got to get him out of there as quickly as Felix Cash did, but man, he better get him out of there. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a lot to say about him. Michael Manning, Boston in the building. Yes, sir. Shout out to Boston, the whole of New England. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Who was Ruziki's manager? Anyway, in other news, right? Just go on to the other news in the WBC, right? So also we had Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson has officially entered the rankings in the WBC. He's now currently the number 15 ranked heavyweight. So look for Jared Anderson to be getting a move on in the rankings and make some noise in the heavyweight division. I'll tell you guys this: when I first tuned in, what I found interesting was there was one of the managers, I can't remember his name, but one of the managers was up there, and he was lobbying for Hot Rod, the light heavyweight Hot Rod, the one that fought Marcus Brown and Beterbiev and them guys. He was lobbying for Hot Rod to get ranked in the top 15 because basically the point that his manager made was that Hot Rod had been screwed in the Marcus Brown fight 6 years ago. He had fought Beterbiev, and he's fought good people in the weight class and whatnot. So he should be the 15th ranked fighter at light heavyweight. Now, the WBC committee responded to that with Hot Rod and said basically that he's not going to get ranked because he needs to fight quality fighters. But then when I had a quick look at the light heavyweight rankings for the WBC, I noticed that Dominic Bozell was 14. How the fuck you going to have Dominic Bozell 14, but then you're going to have Hot Rod outside the top 15? That don't make no sense. Hot Rod is a much better fighter than Dominic Bozell. Therefore, Hot Rod, based on his opposition, who he's fought and who he was supposed to fight recently, and Ali Ismailov, that fight got canceled on Showbox, and I believe Ali is a ranked fighter with the WBC. So it's not fair to him. I think he's kind of getting screwed by the WBC. But all kinds of things happen. I mean, Lyndon Arthur's manager, the light heavyweight from the UK, he beat Anthony Yard in the first fight and then lost 3 matches in devastating fashion. His manager asked Lyndon Arthur to be in the top 15 for WBC. And to that, Mauricio Suliaman responded by saying that Lyndon Arthur hasn't signed up for the WBC clean boxing program. So exposed! Lyndon Arthur exposed. Hey, sign up for that clean boxing program. Say your prayers, take your vitamins, and don't take PEDs. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Make it happen. What else? What else was there today? I mean, there was just so much. Alexis Rocha was requested a top 15 ranking from Golden Boy Promotions in the welterweight division. They didn't say much on that, so maybe tomorrow we'll get some more information on that. What else happened? Also, in the new rankings that were revealed for welterweight, Rashidi Ellis was ranked number 10 and Kavaluskas was ranked number 7. So two guys in that PBC stable who have had some tough moments of their careers are now both top 10 welterweights. So all of a sudden you can look at Rashidi Ellis and Kavaluskas as legitimate fights for top guys out there if they have that kind of ranking position. So there's that. Then at 154, you had some back and forth because Richard Schaefer petitioned for Charles Conwell. No, that's not what happened. So Charles Conwell was ranked number five, and then there was a whole controversy where I think what happened was the WBC had initially ranked Sergey Bohachuk the number 5 ranked contender in 154 because he had defeated and stopped Daryl Corley to win the WBC Continental Americas title, right? Which they had Charles. He leapfrogged above Charles Conwell, and then Richard Schaefer petitioned for Charles Conwell, and they had to go back and forth. So then Conwell's got a fight with Abreu, who's the number 15 contender in the rankings, and that's that's for a title, but I can't remember which one right now. So then the WBC overruled their initial ranking, and Conwell stayed at 5, and Bohachuk stays at 6. So there you have it. Conwell is all right. TGB Promotions, with Al Heyman, they requested for Yordenis Ugas to be moved from the number 4 ranking in the WBC to the number 2 ranking in the WBC. And also, conversely, they also requested that Cody Crowley be moved from number 6 to number 3. To that, the WBC denied the request for Ugas due to inactivity after the Spence fight. He hasn't fought since the Spence fight, and people are wondering when the hell is he going to fight after the Spence fight. So that was denied. And then for Cody Crowley, he got denied due to lack of activity, but he keeps his original ranking up at number 6. So there was that. What else was there? I mean, I wrote down so many things. Jermaine Ortiz got a number 7 ranking position in the WBC lightweight rankings. Edwin De Los Santos, fresh off that win against Rob Valenzuela, comes in at number 12. Maxie Hughes comes in at number 13. So some fresh blood in the rankings, guys that have earned their stripes in the lightweight division, getting a ranking by the WBC. Good to see Edwin De Los Santos being primed and being shown some love, because now with him having this ranking, he's going to be in position to potentially fight someone. And listen, after what we just saw with him against Rob Valenzuela, who wouldn't want to see Edwin De Los Santos back in the ring? Edwin De Los Santos can fight at the highest levels. So that's for the most part what it is. The last thing I will state, and then I'll go to the comments and we'll talk after that, is Sergey Lipinets. TGB requested for Sergey Lipinets to be moved from his number 9 ranking to the number 1 ranking in the 140 division after the Pro Grade Zepeda fight. And Lipinets is also the WBC silver champion. So that along with quality of oppositions are the reasons why TGB decided he should be moved for the ranking to number 1. And to that, WBC denied him, and he stays at his ranking of number 9. So that's pretty much what took place from what I wrote. Also, you know what? And I'll say this last thing before I go to the comments. Ahmed El-Bialy. Ahmed El-Bialy, he's a friend of the program. He's one of South Florida's very own by way of Egypt. He was there with whatchamacallit. Who was he there with? I'm blanking out. Who was he there with? He was there with somebody from Don King. And, he was introduced to the WBC. And I was kind of disappointed in him, and I messaged him on Instagram. I told him, I'm like, man, why didn't you call out Makabu when you were there in front of Mauricio Suliaman? Like, come on, man, you should have called out Makabu there. You called him on Instagram. You should have called him right. You should have called him right out right then and there, because you would have gotten the attention of the boxing world, and that's what it was. But other than that, yeah. Now Jairo, he wants me to talk about Don King. He says Ahmed El-Bialy is coming. They didn't know who he was, but now they do. They didn't know who he was, and now they do. And he's gonna hopefully get something going because he's had a tough, long road in boxing, and I know him personally. So we've had long conversations about what's happened in his career and what's happened with PBC and things like that. So I hope. And they said that apparently he says that Don King wanted Johnny Langston ranked. Well, Johnny Langston's a good fighter, and I know Johnny Langston. I don't know if he's fought since June, but I know the last time I saw him fight, he beat Daniel Beach and Canino's boxing gym's very own Isaiah Night Thompson in a very fun and competitive fight on the Trevor Bryan Daniel Dubois undercard. So I'm sure. Listen, I'm sure he'll get that ranking. I'm sure he'll be able to crack the rankings at some point because he's a good fighter. Chris Andre Boxing says, what do you think of WBC retrospectively overturning Jeff Fence's draw with Nelson from 1991 and making it a win? This opens a can of worms where every close decision is questioned years later. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've never watched that fight, and I don't know a whole lot about that. So you actually put me on game, Chris Andre. So I'm gonna what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that in my notes, and I will probably make a video. In fact, I put it in my notes right now actually, so that I can make a video about it. Let me go to my notes. But make sure you guys smash that like button. We here, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Jeff Fennick, Azuma, Nelson, draw, 1991, overturned to win. Okay, I got to hear my notes, so I'm gonna go watch the fight and do my own research, and then I'll have an answer for you later on. Whenever you want to ask me live, I'll make a video about it. You can ask me about it, and yeah. But thank you, man. As far as them like changing, like anytime a sanctioning body overturns a decision, I feel like then it can call into question any fight, especially like if the draw like was controversial, or no, if the draw was fair and just, I should say. If the draw was fair and just and it really was a close fight, then it can call everything into question. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, sir. Let me see what else we got. Let me see. Drop your comments down below, guys. I'm here. You got my time today. My man, Jafred Boatwright says, that's some bullshit, bro. I want to see that Bivol Beterbiev fight so damn bad. I want to see it too. I want to see that fight too. I feel like, the sanctioning bodies need to get out their own way, get out of the way of their own egos and politics and do what's best for boxing. Their little mandatories can wait. These guys need to fight, and they need to fight next because boxing fans are salivating for it. And I actually think it would actually be what's best for business. I mean, I know sanctioning bodies don't normally do things unless it's best for business. That, to me, I think would be what's best for business and best for the sport overall. You know what I'm saying? BT, the WBA recently made Ryan Garcia #1 at lightweight. Did they really? So if Ryan Garcia is ranked #1, or no, number 7, I should say. If he's ranked number 7 at 140 and #1 in the WBA, then that gives Ryan Garcia options to move around and pick his opponents, which I don't think is a good thing. I want to see him. Fight top guys. No more like Emmanuel Tago, cannon fodder opposition. I just heard that name somewhere else. Jeff Fennick. You probably heard it because he was the guy that trained Brock Jarvis, and then Brock Jarvis got knocked the fuck out by Liam Parr in 1 round. That's probably where you heard that name recently. Chris says, Fennick won fairly, but it's just that we're talking 30 years later. Many controversial decisions have happened over the years. Imagine overturning them all. We would change history of boxing completely. Yeah, I think one fight that should definitely be overturned, Chris, is they got to overturn that Dave Tiberi James Toney fight. Dave Tiberi beat the brakes off James Toney, and even James Toney said it himself. So you got James Toney saying it. If you had to go to court for that whole thing, and they had to have a whole federal investigation for that fight, I think Dave Tiberi should have that fight be overturned so Dave Tiberi can get his recognition as the world champion that he earned himself to become on that night. But he didn't get that, and he wanted retiring from boxing. So You know, the kid is back says they're blaming Vergil Ortiz size-wise for why he gave Loma a good fight, but it was cool. Loma beat 122, 118-pound Rigo and Tiny Gary Russell. That's what I'm saying. And the same thing goes for like when back in 2018, back in the early parts of 2018, when Manny Pacquiao was being discussed with Lomachenko. And Lomachenko was talking all that shit about, oh, I'll go to 140 and fight Pacquiao. I'll go fight this guy. I'll go fight that guy. And then when Bob Arum got serious about it, then he said, oh, I don't want to make my name off beating an old legend. And he freaking, it sounds crazy. People who weren't following boxing at that time, that didn't follow that situation closely, say it's crazy. But Lomachenko did avoid Manny Pacquiao because if you're okay with beating a smaller, older legend in Guillermo Rigondeaux, why wouldn't you be okay with trying to fight a bigger, older legend in Pacquiao, who's really not even that big, to be honest with you? They could have met at 140 or at some sort of catch weight. I know Lomachenko's not a big guy, but it was a fight that was discussed and that Top Rank was interested in making for a very short time. Is Beterbiev going to get stripped if he don't fight Callum Smith? Probably, because they're saying the WBC came out today, Milky Way, and they said, you know, if he beats Yard, we don't care. He got to honor our mandatory. He got to do what we want him to do because we're the WBC. So I think that, along with the whole like Russian thing, that they had this thing now, they're removing all the Russian fighters from the rankings, and they're saying that they're not going to sanction fights with Russian fighters involved. So then that makes me wonder, like, are they gonna? Is Beterbiev gonna get stripped? Like, they're not making any sense. Like when it comes to the light heavyweight division, they're making like 0 sense at all. So yeah, man, it's just a very interesting day. And if you guys thought today was interesting, wait till tomorrow. Wait till you see when because tomorrow at the convention down there in Acapulco, Mexico, they're gonna be calling it all the mandatories. They're gonna be ordering fights. We're gonna see like what's gonna happen. So it's gonna be a really, really interesting day tomorrow, and I'll definitely be watching that, and I'll be glued to this computer seeing what's gonna happen with the WBC tomorrow. So yeah. Hope everybody's day is good. My day has been great. You know, I had a great day today. I took a drive down to one of the most beautiful places in the world. I went down to Key Biscayne today, and I did some running. So I feel good. I feel great, and it's good to be here. We got another one. We got another freaking legend in the building. My main man, 50 grand. The freaking, let me see who. Just a great boxing mind, Boxing Gems himself. He says, BT, what up, fam? What up, Boxing Gems? Hope all is well. I still gotta watch your Crawford Avanesyan video. It's on my to-do list of videos to watch here on YouTube. But all is good, man. Just reviewing what was a crazy day at the WBC convention. If you didn't follow what I was saying earlier, if you're just getting here and you didn't really get a chance to see what happened, crazy stuff, like absolutely crazy stuff going on at the convention today. Ryan Garcia got ranked at 140 at number 7. The WBC says that Beterbiev has to fight Callum Smith next. And they also said that all Russian fighters and Belarus fighters are banned from the rankings due to the Ukraine-Russia war. What else happened today? Just so many things, man. So many things. Golden Boy Promotions tried to make a WBC final eliminator between Vergil Ortiz and Keith Thurman, and then Mauricio Suliaman said no. And then they said that the reason they're saying no is because apparently Crawford is the WBO, or no, Vergil Ortiz is the WBO mandatory for Crawford. That's why I got denied. So then Roberto Diaz, the matchmaker, he was all confused, and he, like, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe the level of fuckery that was going on, because I was excited. I was like, yeah, make that Thurman Vergil Ortiz fight happen. I was gassed about it. And then when he said, oh, no, we can't do that because your guy is a mandatory for Crawford, I said, oh, really? So he's a mandatory for Crawford, but Crawford's fighting the number 6 contender, Avanesyan. Very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting. Let me see. David Easter says, where is he at? He says, I used to not care about Lomachenko because of all the showboating BS he did against those overmatched fighters, but I've grown to like him, and I hope he beats Devin Haney. Well, you're alone on that one, champ. I'm when they fight, I hope Devin Haney knocks him the fuck out. I'm getting sick of Lomachenko. Truthfully, I'm getting sick of him. Like good fighter, great fighter, but like I'm just getting sick of like just go to 130, man. Go to 130 because Devin's gonna beat him, and then when Devin beats him and outboxes him, people are not gonna give him no credit. And then they're gonna say Lomachenko was too small or the war or something. So let him go to 130 and chase big fights down there. Let Haney go to 140, and maybe we can get Devin versus Ryan quicker or something, just something going, you know? Hyro says, I could have sworn the guy from Matchroom said, after the champions fight, they must fight Callum. I don't remember that. I hope not. I hope we can get undisputed. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like we need to hurry these guys up. Like Crawford and Spence have had half a decade of time. Like the WBC needs to speed these guys up. Like either force them to vacate or force them to be in a fight that's really, really entertaining for the fans and that's good for the sport of boxing. Because we just can't have no more of this like shucking and jiving in boxing no more. It's just too much of like all this like, you know, I'm gonna chill and I'm gonna sit on the belt and I'm not gonna fight a mandatory for X amount of years. Like, nah, man. Like, why do we have a ranking system? And why should fighters even care about moving up a ranking system if the governing bodies won't even honor the ranking system? You know what I'm saying? And force the mandatories and force the number one contender to fight the champion, whomever it is, you know? And it's not even just for the champion, it's for the number one contenders now, because we've had so many number one contenders over the last couple of years get to this place where they don't want to fight the champion because the champion is too difficult. Well, no. You go in that ring, you fight that champion, and you dig deep and you try to beat him. And if you can't, then you come back better. Know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, just a crazy, crazy, crazy day. So hopefully tomorrow we get some more crazy things. I'm sure we're gonna have more crazy things. And EFC, you're asking like some real ridiculous questions. I'm about to boot you out, champ. I'm not gonna answer them dumbass questions. And you know what? He's calling me names. So you know what? You know, EFC, I'm about to get you out of here, champ. How you gonna come in here asking dumbass questions, try to sidetrack me from boxing talk? Yeah, absolutely. That was probably the biggest highlight, was when Sandor Martin's representative came up there and told the WBC president, he told Suliaman, pretty much grab your balls, make some motherfucking decisions, stop treating us the wrong way, stop ranking us number 2 and then number 5 and then number 4, you know, be fair. And I agree because, you know, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Like, especially with the WBC, Sandor Martin's a light punching, but good. He's a light punching boxer from Spain, but a good fighter. Not a big name, not a massive fan base, and he's not Mexican, so they're not gonna go out their way to get him a fight, you know. And it's unfortunate. Like, to me, Jose Ramirez, and I'm gonna call it a spade a spade. Jose Ramirez getting a world title shot after he already avoided a world title shot because he got married. Is the biggest bullshit in the world. And I think the only reason he's getting the world title shot is because he's Mexican. Because he's a Mexican fighter who once held a WBC title, who defended it quite a few times, yes. But, you know, what have you done for me lately? What have you done to actually earn the title shot right now? He's did this. He's did nothing. He's done diddly squat. All right? Stop ducking Sandor Martin. Give him his shot. Do you think boxing should have more than one belt per weight class like UFC? I think boxing should cut down on secondary titles because I feel like it's diluting, and it's causing a lot of confusion. Like, I understand it because I've had years to like study like how that shit works, but like it's still confusing sometimes, even for me. So I can't imagine if it's still. I can't imagine how confusing it could be for somebody who's just a casual fan that's not gonna care about that. Yeah, they use that to say that's why he deserves a shot. He made 7 defenses of the belt, but I mean, I heard the guys on the ratings committee discredit certain fighters for saying that they didn't have good performances, they didn't look so good in certain fights. But then when it's Jose Ramirez who looks less than stellar against Pedraza, who looked less than stellar against Victor Postal, you know, he gets a pass. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why. I wonder why. Mexicans are the ones throwing money at boxing. Spaniards only care more about boxing. That might be true, but you know, my man Senator Martin, he earned his shot. Like, it's not like he's just some no-name fighter. He beat Mikey Garcia. And I'm very sure if Mikey Garcia picked up a couple good wins, he would have been in position to fight for a title. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. We got our first super chats of the day. Shout out to my fellow Evertonian, you know, the main man himself from Pro Box Promotions, one of the hardest working men in boxing and one of the men I respect the most. Chris Glover. Shout out to Chris Glover. Hope all is good with you, champ. You know, if you're new around these parts, when the super chats come in, so does Don King. So Don King, go ahead and talk to him.
Hey everybody, let's have some fun. You don't live but once, and when you're dead, you're done. So let the good times roll. It don't matter whether you're young or old. Let the good times roll.
Oh, let the good times roll, and that's what we're gonna do here on True School Sports. Chris says, "Keep up the good work, champion," and likewise yourself, man. I have a lot of respect for you. There's not many more people in boxing I respect more than you, truth be told, because you have a passion for the sport that reminds me a lot of myself, and I respect it a lot. And I've been enjoying a lot of the Pro Box cards, and I'm very excited for Brandon Glanton versus David Light. So shout out to you guys out there at Pro Box doing your thing. Thank you. What's my prediction on Benavidez versus Plant? It's tough, man, because I really want to pick Caleb Plant. I really, really do. I love Caleb Plant, massive fan. But it's just that stamina of his towards the back half of a fight. You know, we've seen it happen plenty of times where he doesn't really have the best stamina in the back half of fights. But then another part of me is kind of like, well, you know, Caleb Plant has Steven Bretman Edwards in his corner. I feel like he's going to push the right button. So it's hard for me to say right now. But right now I'm leaning slightly towards Benavidez just because I think, you know, Benavidez could fight at light heavyweight. Benavidez walks around at 200 plus. To me, if he makes that weight comfortably against Plant, I think he's going to beat him. But I want to be wrong. Let me please be wrong. Let me please be wrong because I love Caleb Plant, and I think he's one of my favorite fighters. So I want to be wrong about it, but I can't be biased. I got to be unbiased. You know what I'm saying? It's politics. I like Sandor. God will bless him. I know. Well, look, yeah, I think so. Just so long as he goes out there, I don't care if he fights a big name, a small name, whatever name. Just go out there, win your fights, and you get your opportunity. That's how life goes. That's how boxing goes. It's like here on YouTube, for example. I've made over 6,000 videos on YouTube. I'm gonna make 6,000 more, but I wouldn't have gotten to where I got to if I didn't just make the videos in front of me. And he's got to beat the guys in front of him, and he'll get his shot eventually. Let me see. Let's be real. The WBC and WBA are the real world titles in boxing. The IBF and WBO are too new to be real world titles. I'm going to disagree with that. I like the IBF. IBF is very strict with their mandatories for the most part. They really do a good job of enforcing them most of the time. I don't want to honestly, like, look, all the governing bodies have things I like and dislike. I don't want to get into the whole, like, well, this one's the real title and that one's the real title. The way I see it, you got to win all four of them to become undisputed. So if that's what you have to win to become undisputed, then they're all real world titles. That's how I'm looking at it. But yeah. It's crazy how fast time be flying by when you're having fun. Already almost an hour and a half in. You know, but I see we got another super chat from my main man, the Dun Dada himself, Boxing Gems. He's got to say, he says, well, actually, no. We can't just read the comment. We got protocol here on True School Sports, just like the same way the WBC has protocol with ranking and unranking fighters. We got protocol here when we get super chats. And, you know, when the super chats come out, you know, so does the big bad booty daddy. So Scott Steiner put these hoes in the Steiner recliner.
Do the bump and grind. And it's only a matter of time because he called me the big bad booty daddy.
Gotta show love, much respect, fam. You, Chris, a few others. Boxing is on our back now. Absolutely, champ. You know, I take the responsibility I have here on True School Sports very seriously, covering the sport. All weight classes, being fair, being just, giving you guys that world-class boxing content. And guys like Boxing Gems, listen, if you're not subscribed to Boxing Gems or Chris and Andre, go subscribe to them, especially Boxing Gems, because he's someone that, you know, while people are arguing about purse splits and transparencies and financial records, he's just giving you guys the straight X's and O's, the rudimentary, elementary skills of boxing, style breakdowns, the things that boxing fans need to know before a fight's happening is on Boxing Gym. So go over there and make sure you guys give him a very well-earned subscription and go show him love. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. Hyro says, BT, when you get a chance, I think you should go back and watch it. I don't think people caught that part with Callum Smith. I'm gonna go back. You know what? Because I'm supposed to call you after this anyway. When I get off of this, Hyro, I'll call you and we can rewatch it together later on. Milky Way said, did you see Southpaw 773 cursing out Bill and Devin Haney? Yes, I did. Thought it was very funny. Southpaw is crazy. You know, it is what it is, man. I mean, Southpaw going Southpaw. But, you know, God bless him. You know, hopefully he continues to do what he's doing. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. MAW says, BT, it's been a while since I caught you live midweek, BT. Hope you and Pops are doing well. I'm doing great. And, yeah, you haven't caught me live midweek because I haven't been doing a whole lot of these lives midweek. But I'm trying to, you know, somebody in my life recently inspired me. And it made me realize that, you know, I need to really I need to do better than I'm doing. Like, I'm doing good, but I can do better, you know. And shout out to my boy Johnny Cortijo, my boy Johnny out there in Vegas, the pride and joy of all North Las Vegas. He really inspired me recently with what he's got going on in his life. So I'm trying to push myself to go the extra length for you guys, man, and really get consistent with these lives. Just so you guys know, programming reminder for this week. I'm gonna be live 3 times this weekend. Oh, no, not 3 times. 2 times this weekend. We'll be live Saturday for Montana Love, Stevie Spark, as well as Johnny Beck, Denzel Bentley at the same time. And then Sunday, I can't believe it. I may even regret doing this later on, but I'm going live for Floyd Mayweather versus Deji on Sunday, you know, because it's Floyd, you know. It's Floyd Mayweather, man. We got to go live for Floyd. So, you know, and there's nothing going on Sunday, so I figured it'd be a fun little live to definitely you know, spice things up here on True School Sports. And then the following week we got Hasim Rahman versus Vitor Belfort, as well as Jaime Munguia's fight. And then the 26th we got 3 cards on the 26th: Pro Grace Zepeda, John Ryder Parker, and Dillian White, Jermaine Franklin, and then Adam Razim, Ryan Charlton. So I'm going to be live for all those fights the rest of the month. Make plans to be here with me. You know what I'm saying? Veribo says, imagine Deji throws a big haymaker and Floyd goes to sleep. I highly doubt it, but I seriously think that, like, you know, I think if Floyd fights Jake Paul, they're gonna orchestrate like some sort of dive. That's what I think. If he fights Jake Paul, they're gonna orchestrate some sort of dive. But that's my opinion. We got another super chat from my main man out there in the UK, Chris Andre Boxing. Make sure you guys subscribe to Chris Andre Boxing. Before we read his comment, let's make sure we go through the True School Sports protocol. You know, they got WBC protocol, WADA protocol. We got True School protocol, True School super chat protocol. And you know, we all have dreams, but you can't just hope for a dream. You gotta take action. Tell them, Don King.
Everybody and anybody.
Anybody and everybody. That's what he wants. That's the dream. Though you got to work to fulfill that dream. You can't get it by conversation. You get it by action. Action. And I love Trevor, so I want to make certain that he...
But Chris says, True School Sports, it's 1:46 a.m. here, and I'm working overnight, so thank you for keeping us entertained. Boxing Gym's films to study if relative of mine ever turns pro. we're employing you to our team. Absolutely. I would advise every and all pros. I don't know if he's still here because I haven't seen him comment, but he was here at the beginning of the live. Steve Gaffard, the light heavyweight. Steve, if you're still here, get with my man Boxing Gems. He knows a lot about the sport. Very good at breaking down styles. I think he'd be an asset to a lot of fighters. You know, I might even recommend him for some. I might even recommend him for some of my friends who are pros. You know, and yeah, so that's what it is. But appreciate you, Chris. I appreciate everyone here. WBC, man, this boxing's crazy. Boxing's in a crazy space right now. You know, November is not going to be the best month. December is going to have some great fights, though. December, I mean, we got Roman Gonzalez coming back. Roman Gonzalez is fighting on December 3rd, so you know, boxing still has some things to look out for, to look forward to. Got the U.S. Nationals coming up. I'm supposed to be at the U.S. Nationals with Sean Porter and Sean Tatel for amateur boxing champion. It's going to be a great time out there with them. I also saw on Twitter today, shout out to Lo Henshaw. She works at USA Boxing and does some media stuff for Behind the Gloves. She tweeted today that the USA Boxing Nationals, I think, that the US Boxing Nationals is going to serve as a qualifier for the USA Olympic trials. So if you win the USA Boxing Nationals this year, you're just automatically in the trials, or I think that's something like that. I gotta reread the tweet, but you know, gonna be a great time, man. You know, a lot of fighters around this great country of the USA are working very hard on the amateurs to try to you know, go to the nationals, win the nationals, and make something of their boxing careers. I know a lot of amateur boxers here in South Florida personally. You know, shout out to Luis Hernandez and Lazaro Medina and you know, all the fighters here in Homestead and up there in Broward County that are going to be at the nationals. I can't wait to be in Texas with Sean Porter and Sean Tatel talking about, you know, these South Florida fighters in the nationals. Hopefully one of them wins and does well, so we could feature them on Amateur Boxing Champions. But it's going to be a great time. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the Amateur Boxing Champions platform. We're going to be there conducting interviews, doing great things. So it's going to be just historical, groundbreaking things are happening in boxing for your boy BT and True School Sports. So be on the lookout. Hyro says, yo, BT, did they say Hot Rod fighting Beterbiev wasn't because they said Beterbiev won every round? Yeah, they say he won every round, but I mean, come on, man. Like, are you really gonna punish a fighter for losing? Joe Smith lost every round of Beterbiev. A lot of guys lost every round of Beterbiev and got knocked out. So that's not fair. I think they just don't want to rake him. That's right. Get my boy Steve Gaffard up in the rankings. Stop playing with my boy Steve. Why are they trying to downplay Robeisy Ramirez, act like he's not a factor? He already avenged losses he already gave Shakur a loss with ease, according to Ward and Bradley. He did beat Shakur pretty easily in the amateurs. I don't know, man. Robeisy a good fighter. He's been knocking guys out. He's adapted his style to the pros. I don't know why they're hating on Robeisy Ramirez. You know, they're always trying to keep my QP. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
One SS. One. S. Hello to everybody. Thank you for the support.
You got anything to say about the ranking committee today?
Oh, man, that shit is... Can you hear me?
Talk.
Yo, that shit is crazy, man. That shit's like real deep and shit. I mean, you got promoters there lobbying for everything and anything. Some not even giving the WBC president, they're just kissing his ass all the way to the top, you know, trying to get the brownie points. But I mean, that shit is serious, man. I never seen that.
Do you understand now when I tell you why boxing is political? Like now you get it.
Oh my God!
You saw it today.
But what I've learned from the whole thing is they degrade fighters to actually fight actual fights, right, with a good record and good standing. But then they want to also add controversial decisions to the resume of the boxer to put it for the decision to make the decision better for the WBC rankings. Why you always, if it's a controversial victory or controversial loss, leave that shit out. Just look at the boxer's record, the result, and that's it. And I mean, I was looking at Suliaman, and I can see why he hasn't shot himself yet. He better keep on walking He probably eats himself to death. I'm not gonna lie, man. That's stressful.
Remember he stood up and hit that big ass gut?
Yeah.
He stressed the fuck out.
Yeah, I never seen that, but I see how deep it is. And my son explained to me that the reason they get the rankings for the boxers is because the higher the rankings, the better rankings, and the eventual goal is to get the fighters into a
better position. I was trying to explain to Pops because sometimes they would request to be moved just one ranking higher, but one ranking could be all the difference between you being in a final eliminator, you getting a shot, all that stuff.
Go back to what Brandon just said. Someone was saying that there's one point to bring up one of his fighters. So he should move up. I forgot what ranking it was. He just wanted to move up, and one of the things that was determined why he didn't get moved up was because the fighter that was above him actually had a title fight where the other one just had an eliminator or less a fight that really didn't count to really end compared to the one in the title. Remember we said that?
Yeah.
I mean, I learned a lot, and I was only in 10 minutes, but I had to get out of there because I don't got no hair. If I stay in there, I won't have no hair.
Yeah.
God bless everybody. Thank you for the support. I got to mix something a little.
Okay, cool. Yeah, shout out to Pops. Everyone show love, because I had my dad. I wanted my dad to watch with me today because I got home from my run. I went to keep his cane. I ran. That's a long ass run too. The bridge is like really high, and you start huffing and puffing going up there. So I got to go work out today. But I got back from that. We watched the rankings thing for like 10 to 20 minutes, and it's very political. I went to the WBC rankings meeting in 2016 at the 2016 convention when they had it here in South Florida. So I know what it's like, but I wanted him to see it. So when I tell him how political boxing is, it's just as political as politics itself. Like when you see the lobbyists on Capitol Hill and they're lobbying for, things in U.S. government to get changed and whatnot. It's the same thing in boxing, same sort of concept. Frank Martin or Rollies. I think, Frank Martin's a better fighter, but if you ask me who I like more, I like Rolly. Well, we in the Rolly era, damn it. And then a boxing gem says, I need a route to that amateur film, my guy. I got you, champ. Just follow me on Instagram or whatever, or hit me on Instagram. And then what I'll do is I know from what I was told, like Sean Porter and Amateur Boxing Champion is the app. They're gonna be streaming it on their on their thing. But what I'll do is I'm gonna record fights for True School Sports myself, and I could give you maybe the raw version that I shoot, and we can work something out. Yeah. Let me see. Who was the worst champion, Charles Martin or Jason Rosario? Oh, no, come on, man. Don't be disrespecting my boy Banana Rosario like that. Definitely Charles Martin. Charles Martin won the belt. He won the belt when he fought the dude. Was it Glaskov? I think it was Glaskov, and he injured himself. He didn't even really hurt Glaskov or have a definitive performance against Glaskov. He really underwhelmed and won the title by circumstance. Rosario fought Julian Williams as a 6-1, 7-1 underdog when Julian Williams was coming off the biggest win of his career against Jarrett Hurd and beat the brakes off of him. So it's easy to pick who was better champion. Definitely Rosario. But they both lost the titles in embarrassing fashion. Charles Martin claimed to the world that he walked this earth like a god against Anthony Joshua and got destroyed in 4 rounds or less. And then Rosario got knocked out with a jab and was doing seizures. He was doing damn seizures on the floor. It was ridiculous. Pitbull was next for Ryan Garcia, but he pulled out. Ryan is protected. And for good reason. And I don't think he's protected because he can't win these fights. I think Ryan Garcia is more than capable of winning these fights against Pitbull. I think he'd beat Pitbull if they fought. But that kid, he's one of the only legitimate stars in boxing. He's one of the only maybe 3 or 4 fighters in America where you can actually go up to people in the USA and you can say, hey, Ryan Garcia? And people who don't watch boxing normally will know who he is. He's like him, Tank, Canelo, maybe Wilder and Fury as well. There's probably only about 5 or 6 guys in America that have real crossover popularity, if that. And even some of those names I'm telling you guys, may not even be as popular as I believe, but I just know that those guys, for one reason or another, they have some sort of drawing power or crossover appeal in America because they've done things to have crossover appeal in America. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Rosario was in the hospital hours before the Charlo fight. Yeah, man. Rosario, I mean, I know from him being here in South Florida, that weight cut was horrible. I mean, when he was fighting at 54, that weight cut was horrible. I seen him at the gym a couple times. It was bad. It was really, really, really bad. And yeah, I think his body's just giving out on him. Like he's pretty much cut too much weight and it's damaged his body too much to where he has no punch resistance. And he's never really had punch resistance, but I think he's taken enough punishment to where you can say, okay, he's gotten what he's wanted out of boxing. He can call it a career and be proud of what he accomplished. Yeah, I mentioned that card with Montana Love and Stevie Spark. That'll be an interesting card. I was going through and I was looking through that card today. You know, some interesting fights. You got Rich Hitchens taking on Yomar Alamo, 140-pounder. Let me see. He had a couple other fights. I wanted to kind of go through that real quickly because I was going through it and I was like, you know, I wanted to see what the card was about. Now, I'll tell you about that main event. Montana Love, Stevie Spark it's a cherry pick. You know, Stevie Spark, now not the best fighter out there, but, you know, I think this fight is probably more close to his natural weight class because he fought Tim Tszyu at 54, which isn't his weight class, and now he's fighting Montana Love at 140, which is more his weight class. So maybe he goes in there and he puts on a performance against Montana Love. One thing I can't say about Montana Love, he's kind of like the very, very, very poor man's version of Gervonta Davis and Adrian Broner. Flashy, great hand speed, athletic, southpaw, but bit of a front runner. You know, always starts off very strong, but then kind of fades after that fourth round. So if Stevie Spark has a good gas tank, then you know, could be a chance for him to make some noise here and get upset. You also got Thomas Matisse back in action. You know, Thomas Matisse is a couple fights removed from that fight against Luis Melendez, you know, friend of the channel, where I thought Luis Melendez, you know, it was a close fight, could have went either way. Most people thought he lost Luis Melendez, but he beat Melendez, I should say. Melendez got a decision, and he's won 2 fights since then. So he's taking on undefeated Christian Tapia for the WBC Continental Americas Championship at 130. So if he wins this fight, we're looking at Matisse probably getting ranked in the WBC, which I think would be good because Matisse is a good fighter, and Matisse has been a guy that will give a lot of guys problems. You know, long, rangy, tall, can punch. You know, good fighter. You got Raymond Ford. Raymond Ford's taking on Sakaria Lucas, who's 25-1-1, and this is also for the WBA Continental America Super Featherweight title. So a win here gets Raymond Ford ranking position. So not great fights, but, you know, important matchups that will impact the landscape of divisions. You know, you got Khalil Cole back in action. You got Nicholas, that dude who trains with Javier Centeno down here, the Georgian dude. He's fighting on the card. So not a bad card. I'll definitely be following it. They're fighting down there at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, the home of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's what it is. Someone asked me, do I think Montana Love is hype? I think Montana Love right now is slightly overrated. I think he's good, solid fighter. I think he's actually become slightly overrated because, man, I have this thing where, like, with Montana Love, like, I want to see him fight Kenneth Sims Jr. It don't sit good with me that Montana Love had a close fight with Kenneth Sims Jr. And, you know, I thought he lost to Kenneth Sims Jr. And he's been able to build his career just because he promotes himself better on social media and does his little power work routines, and just a funny guy. But he never really proved that he was better than Kenneth Sims Jr. So I want to see that fight. I want to see the rematch. You know, so when I see that rematch or when I see him fight a better opponent, then I can answer that question better. But I just think he's solid right now. I wouldn't say he's elite. I wouldn't say he's bad, but I would say he's just solid. You know. Chris wants to know, have you got any inside information on what's going on between Javier Centeno and George Kambosos? Is it true Kambosos hasn't paid him? And if so, what led to the beat that made him choose not to pay? Now, I haven't gone down to that gym in a long time. It's been a while since I've gone to that gym. I got to go there soon, actually. But what I can tell you, the only inside information I could tell you about that whole situation is an interaction I had with George Kambosos on the fight week of Jojo Diaz versus Devin Haney. Now, that was my first time meeting him. This was just after he had beaten Teofimo Lopez, so he was on a high. And I asked George, I said, George, when are you going back to South Florida? I want to go to the gym and I want to interview you. And George responded by telling me, saying that I'm not going to South Florida ever again. I'm doing all my training camps in Australia. And right then and there, I kind of knew that George Kambosos had changed a little bit, because why would you deviate from what got you to success? Why would you change everything up just for convenience? You know, it's just wasn't cool with me. I didn't think it was cool. So he kind of started changing right then and there. As far as that whole situation, I don't know why he didn't pay him. I just know that Peter Khan, who's a very great manager and a shrewd businessman, sued him, and they're both going to court right here in Broward County, in the county in which he trained in. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully that George Kambosos honors his former team, Javier Centeno and Peter Khan, because they did more than right by him. Peter Khan more than looked out after him, getting him not just a big payday against Devin Haney for the first fight, but Peter Khan made sure he got a rematch. So he got 2 paydays for the price of 1 for 2 fights that he was going to lose. So that's all I know. Let me see. They need to quit fucking around and make that Matisse fight with the Argentinian. What the hell is up with that? What Matisse fight? What are you talking about? George was dumb as hell how he fumbled the spot. Yeah, like he had the best manager in boxing, or one of the best managers in boxing, you know, looking out for him, and he treats him like that. So a lot of people want to always, you know, talk bad about managers and promoters and trainers, but sometimes the fighters are assholes. So they get privileges. It is what it is. Call it what it is. Stop calling everybody out on the Mike Tyson podcast and swerve the C-class opposition. They shouldn't even rank him at this point. Who are you talking about? And I agree. Montana Love's dog is the GOAT. I remember when I was at the media workout last year, and the dog had the Montclair jacket. He bought his dog a Montclair jacket. I said, "Oh my God, this guy's really on some shit, giving his dog a Montclair jacket." When are they gonna make that Supriyo Matias versus Jeremias Ponce fight, BT? I have no clue. That's the fight me and you are very interested in. Hopefully they get it done at some point, because it's just ridiculous that Subriel Matias isn't getting a title shot because Ponce can't get a visa. Ponce is still waiting on his visa, and it's getting ridiculous. Then go find another opponent and let Matias get his fight. Why is O'Hara Davies ranked number 2 in the WBA? Well, you just answered your own question, man, because it's the WBA. The rankings don't ever make sense in the WBA. So that's why, you know. But Montana Love, he's beating some decent fighters at 140. He's not as bad as they say he is. He's better than they say he is, actually. You know, I like Montana Love, or O'Hara Davies, I should say. I like him. That's what I'm saying. I was there. The videos on my channel, Chris. If you just Google up like Montana Love dog Montclair jacket True School Sports, it should pop up. I was sitting here. And like he was last year, he had the dog in the ring with the Montclair jacket, and Montana Love's just kind of like shadow boxing in the ring. He's shadow boxing in the ring, getting his little workout in, with the dog in the ring wearing the Montclair jacket, and then he almost busted his ass and fell over his dog. It was crazy. I couldn't believe the level of extra Montana Love went to. Let me see. Ryan should fight who he wants to pick. Forget ranking him. Oh, and I thought the Banana Man was going places till Charlo punched his stomach. So did I. You know, I thought his career was going to pan out much better than it did, even after he lost to Charlo. But you know, some fighters just don't have that durability to last a long time in boxing, and he's one of them. BT, Nonito Donaire wants to be number one. 115 was never really serious. It doesn't sound like he wants to retire. Well, he wants to be number one at 115 or 118. Which one? Because I didn't hear that part when he was talking. BT, how did Junto Nakatani look recently? I heard he had to dig deep, but he still had to beat his opponent convincingly. Yeah, he fought, what was the dude's name? Former champion, whose name I can't remember right now. But tough fight. The leaky defense is still there. And I do think he's got to tighten up with some things. But Junto Nakatani's an offensive freight train. He looked good when he let his hands go. He looked not so good when punches were coming at him, So I think he is what he is, man. I don't think he's gonna change a whole lot. I think Junto Nakatani will always be a bit of a fighter with lacks defense, but he's just a guy that, he's a guy that really throws a lot of punches, so he's gonna get hit. And thank you, Chris. Yes, Francisco Rodriguez Jr., a tough out for anybody. Francisco Rodriguez is, former champion at 108. A guy that really, gives a lot of guys tough fights, And how crazy is it that Romo Gonzalez, the great, the incomparable, the real TBE, the Picasso of boxing, Romo Gonzalez fought Francisco Rodriguez years ago when Rodriguez was younger, and he stopped him in 7 rounds. So the fact that same guy can go at a later stage of his career, go the distance with a young killer like Nakatani, it shows you the level that Romo Gonzalez is at, Can you quickly revisit the Bivol Beterbiev issue? I missed it. That's a better fight than Spence versus Crawford. Yeah, man. I would just say what happened at the convention today was basically the WBC. The WBC. First, they stated that Russian fighters and Belarus fighters are not going to be in the rankings, and they're not going to sanction fights with Russian or Belarus fighters due to what's happening in the Ukraine with Russia and the whole war and everything. Then after that, they said that Beterbiev has to fight Callum Smith next, even though he's already fighting a WBO mandatory in yard. So basically, Beterbiev has to honor a WBO and a WBC, and yeah. And the reasons why I think the fight won't happen right away is because of 2 mandatories from both governing bodies and this whole issue with the Russia-Ukraine war and not, ranking Russian fighters. I think that's going to have an effect on Beterbiev. You know what I'm saying? So, but in an ideal world, that would be next. If Andrew Maloney beats Donaire, you gotta call Andrew Maloney the Donaire Slayer like you call the Noye. Yeah, bro. I'm not doing that because you gotta beat Donaire twice to be called the Donaire Slayer. That's how it works. Zepeda or Prograis? I haven't had a chance to look at the ranking to watch film, so I'm just going off of what I think is better. I would say what's his name? Prograis. I like Prograis. I think Zepeda's gonna come with a really intelligent pressure style. I think Prograis has been in these kind of fights before, as has Zepeda, but I just think Prograis has a bit more craft to him, bit more of a heavier-handed fighter, and I think that's the difference in the fight. But I have to watch. When I watch film, when I really get into it, I'll give you a better assessment. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. Let me see. This show is the bomb. What time, what day? Talking about the lives. Well, I'm trying to make these lives around this time every day. Tomorrow I won't be live at this time because I'm gonna watch the hockey game tomorrow. The Florida Panthers are playing the Carolina Hurricanes, so I'll probably go live a little bit earlier tomorrow if I do go live. But yeah, normally this time. Yeah, they really are. They're really being unfair to the Russians. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. Bivol said he would give Canelo the rematch at 168 for undisputed. Yeah, but no, F that. I don't want to see that. How the hell is there hockey in Florida? Because the NHL teams play in arenas which are indoors where they can cool the ice. What do you mean? How is hockey in Florida? Two of the best teams in hockey are from Florida: the Panthers and the Lightning. Two of the top teams out there. Pedraza has wasted all of his ability being weight bully at 130 and 135. I wouldn't say that he's wasted all of his ability. You know, I thought before, you know, he started like having these close fights and whatnot. I thought he was doing some of his best boxing at 140 when he beat Julian Rodriguez and he beat a couple other decent contenders. So I wouldn't say he wasted his career. What do you think about your boy Matthew Tkachuk trying to take out Jonathan Quick's eyeballs? I don't think he tried to take out Jonathan Quick's eyeballs. I think it was incidental contact, and the NHL just suspended him because of his reputation as being a guy that does really douchey shit on the hockey rink. But it's okay. We already won one game without him. We'll be fine. Like, we'll be more than fine. Panthers going to be A-okay. Does anybody know if Tyson Fury has managed to end the call with True Jordy yet? And I don't know, man. He's still trying to figure it out. He's still trying to make it happen. Let me see. If Bivol is going to fight Buatsi, I could see a rivalry in that fight with Buatsi getting it, if you want my honest opinion. At some point in juncture, Hearn wants Bivol out of the way because of what he did to Canelo. I mean, that's dumb, though, because Bivol is not going to lose for a long time. Like, just ride it out. Just ride it out, man. Ride it out till you can't ride it out no more. No. Benavidez versus Bivol at 175. I dare Dave Benavidez to go to 175 and fight Bivol, because I'm getting sick of him, man. He won't move up to 175 and fight Beterbiev, who he was in position to fight a couple of years ago when he missed weight. But then he gets in these interviews and he's like, yeah, you know, I sparred Bivol, and Bivol's a great fighter, but you know, you can ask anyone who was there what happened in the sparring. All that bullshit, man. Like, fuck the sparring. Sparring is sparring. I know plenty of guys who are sparring world champions. They go on sparring and they look like $1 million, and then they get under them lights and they get punched straight in their shit, straight in the face. Like, come on, man. Oh, God. Hyro says the Panthers can't beat the Oilers. Connor McDavid is too good, too fast, and that PBC overpaid goalie is doing you guys any justice. Yeah, Sergei Bobrovsky, the most overpaid athlete in the world. Fuck that dude, bro. We're going to beat the Oilers on Saturday because we always beat the Oilers, but, you know, yeah. You know, should be a fun game on Saturday. I'm looking forward to that game. I like Benavidez versus Bivol, but you have to like both their dedication. You got to start a podcast. The only podcast on boxing is Mannix. You know, I do got to start a podcast. Everyone keeps saying that. BT, tell him about Conor Benn situation. Yeah, I kind of went into that already. Conor Benn, Matchroom said that Conor Benn should get his number 5 WBC ranking back because he hasn't been suspended by any of the commissions in the world. But then the WBC told him pretty much that, yeah, because you gave up your license. You get your damn license. So that's why you're not suspended. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yeah, it's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Almost 2 hours in. We're like an hour and 48 minutes. So I'm gonna go a solid 2 hours. So 12 more minutes, and then we're gonna get up on out of here. You know what I'm saying? But get your common sense. Smash that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Super chat. Do what Boxing Gems and Chris did. You know, it definitely goes a long way. Let me see. If I heard Zotto was paid to lose against Bivol, that fight was fixed. You think so? I think it was fixed too. I think Bivol fixed it with that straight right hand when he had Zotto on Queer Street. You know, on Queer Street. Can Bivol's fighting style beat Mayweather's style? I think Bivol could beat anybody. I think on his best night, Bivol can beat anybody in the world, including a Floyd. Definitely. I think because the thing about Floyd is like what makes Floyd so great is his ability to disrupt fighters' rhythm. But he never really fought a technical fighter who had the ability to feint like a Bivol does. And that's probably like my biggest criticism of Floyd, of his career, is that he made a career off of fighting, mostly cement-footed fighters and favorable style matchups. He didn't really fight like the most elite technical fighters out there. So I would like to see him go ahead and do that. And no, I didn't say Zotto was queer. I said that when Bivol hit him with the right hand, it put him on queer street. It's a term. It's an acronym, man. It's just like a saying. We got another super chat from my man Stephen Bateman. Shout out to Stephen Bateman with the super chat. Know the drill. When the super chats come out, so does Don King. So Don King, talk to him once more.
Hey everybody, let's have some fun. You don't live but once, and when you're dead, you're done. So let the good times roll. It don't matter whether you're young or old. Let the good times roll.
You have it. Shout out to Stephen Bateman with the super chat. He says Beterbiev could happen in Russia. Maybe it will. But then if it happens in Russia, then Beterbiev is going to have to drop the WBC, so they won't be for undisputed. You know what I'm saying? But that would be a scene. I mean, ain't nobody going to go cover the fight because people would be scared to death to go to Russia. But definitely could definitely happen in Russia, and there hasn't been a big fight in Russia for quite some time. So absolutely. Ukraine throws a bomb if that fight happens there. Yeah, probably. Putin gonna order a hit on them. You know what I'm saying? Ryder or Parker? I got Ryder by decision. I'm actually leaning towards a Ryder decision myself, but I think Zach Parker has a style to really beat the heck out of him if Ryder can't get on the inside. But Ryder always gets on the inside. Ryder always does this thing on the inside. When is the date for Kayla versus David Benavidez? Better pay-per-view than Ryan versus Tank and Helenius. They don't have a date yet, but both fighters announced via their own social media platforms that pretty much they're gonna go ahead and fight. So there's no date yet. I would anticipate it would be in the first quarter of the year. LA or Las Vegas, something like that. Both fighters have good fan bases in those areas, particularly Benavidez, who's Mexican-American. And obviously a lot of Mexican fans come off of Benavidez. Plants also got a big fan base coming off the Canelo fight, and just his profile is skyrocketed. So, yeah, should be a great time. Bivol didn't need to fix it. Zotto takes an age to reset following his attacks. Bivol was a master at judging distance. He held center knowing the glide out and back and go straight after. Yeah. And Bivol Zotto kept falling in with straight left hands and getting clipped. I was just more disappointed with the lack of game plan from, Julian Chua, because I heard the instructions in the corner, and it sounded to me like they had no game plan in the corner. Obviously, Bivol is a great fighter operating at a level that most fighters will never get to, but Bivol. Any fighter can be beat, and I didn't see any sort of willingness to make adjustments in the corner from them. That Ryder fight is going to be because it's with Frank Warren. You're saying, what are you saying, Howard? Are you saying he's going to win or he's going to lose? Why is everyone saying Bivol beats Beterbiev based on being a flat-footed, overblown, light heavyweight and the slow-ass Zotto who's never been elite at 175? Beterbiev is still a man at 175. There you have it. Usama letting y'all know he's not going with the fact that Bivol is the flavor of the month. I personally am leaning towards Bivol. I just think that, the footwork and the boxing is going to edge him out a decision. But I I love Beterbiev. I love them both. I'm not going to even be mad. I'm not going to be upset no matter who wins. But people are saying Bivol is beating Beterbiev because he's beaten two really high quality fighters in Canelo and Zotto. As far as Beterbiev, I mean, he just put Joe Smith Jr. in a body bag, and I was there. I had a lot of fun that night too. So that's kind of been forgotten about. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. I think people can have their opinions, but I think people are being a little too quick to write off Artur Beterbiev. Know what I'm saying? Do you think my dad asked, do you think David Morrell is ready for the elites in the division? I would like to see him have one more fight, but yeah, I do. I think being a southpaw with the speed, power, and angles he has, he's a problem for anybody. The only thing I think he needs to worry about, though, and get better at is the fact that he needs to manage his energy a bit better in the earlier rounds so he doesn't gas or lose energy in the middle of the fight. You know, that's my only criticism of him. But other than that, he's a fantastic talent, a great talent. He says, nah, BT, age doesn't matter. Chaco will lose because he's old. It's like that. Don't compare these guys to Romo Gonzalez. He's a one-off. He's a one-off. I mean, Beterbiev's a one-off too. So, you know, we're not going to write him off. I'm not writing him off. You know? People picking Bivol to win to think Beterbiev is just a puncher like Wilder. The dude has over 300 amateur fights. He can box too and has very deceptive fast feet. Yeah, honestly, like, I know how I am. And this fight's such a great fight. And both fighters are so great that, like, I could foresee I just know that, like, once Beterbiev puts Anthony Yarde in a body bag, then I'm gonna say Beterbiev wants to win. So I'm gonna wait and probably have to really do a lot of film study to have a prediction for the fight. But they're both great. There's been times where I favor them both, and I just want to see the damn fight as soon as possible. So hopefully all this nonsense going on with WBC Crooks and Mauricio Suliaman doesn't get in the way. The question is David Benavidez ready for the elites at 168, 175? We're gonna get our answer to that first part of your question whenever he fights Caleb Plant. Because forget Beterbiev and Bivol, he might just freaking get iced by Caleb Plant. This might be Julian Williams versus Jared Hurd 2.0, and he might get iced by Caleb Plant. So let's wait and see what happens with that before we crown Benavidez the next this and the next stat and the Mexican this and the Ecuadorian this. You know, man, you got to go in there. You got to prove that you are what you say you are against top competition. And he ain't really done that yet. You know, so now's his chance. Boots may have to just take a tomato can opponent just to stay busy. Only one fight this year waiting on PBC puppies who don't want to fight you. Yeah, that's what it is. The two divas, that's what I refer to Crawford and Spence as, if you don't know. And listen, they're both great talents. I respect them as fighters, but you know, the two, I'm calling them the two divas because that's what they are, you know. But yeah, I would like to see them fight Boots at some point. Upload a video of you sparring, BT. I haven't sparred in like a year. I sparred last time like a year ago in Texas. You know what? I should do that because I do want to spar soon, and I am in better shape and I'm starting to run and swim more. So my stamina will be better. So I guess what I'll do soon enough is I know the gym around the corner from my house, they got sparring every Friday. I'll pull up there on one of these random Fridays and get you guys some true school sports, because you know you can only talk boxing so much long. You got to put your hand skills on display, and I can fight a little bit, so I'll do that for you. The WBC president is a disgrace. Beterbiev just fought Marcus Brown in December 2021, and Canelo has no medals in 2 years, and the last one was bum-ass Yildirim. Well, no, Yildirim wasn't a mandatory. Yildirim was a fighter whom he requested as franchise champion. So you can't say that he's a mandatory because he wasn't a mandatory. He got special privilege as franchise champion, so I don't think that counts. But I agree. You know, it's not fair. Now, Justin Cooper wants to know, how is Spence a diva, in my opinion? I guess he just genuinely wants to know because maybe he's never heard me talk about this. Spence is a diva because Spence played into the narrative for all these years about he's on the wrong side of the street and he doesn't, he's on the wrong side of the street, and that Sean Porter has a belt, all that stuff. My thing is like, look, that fight was a great fight without the undisputed. We didn't need it to be undisputed for it to matter. It could have happened in 2019 or 2018 or whatever. But Spence, from the moment Crawford versus Spence became a thing, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I hate talking about the subject, but from the moment that became a thing, first Spence told Crawford to get a belt, then he beat Jeff Horn, and then he said Jeff Horn is nobody, which is funny because if Jeff Horn, if Crawford didn't fight Jeff Horn, then Spence was going to get – no, my bad. If Spence didn't fight Kell Brook, if Kell Brook would have vacated the belt and not have fought Spence, then Spence would have had to have fought Jeff Horn for the belt. And that was actually a fight when Spence was a prospect. That was a fight that the IBF was actually trying to make happen with Spence versus Jeff Horn. But people don't remember that. So just that, and all the moving the goalposts. Like, I don't think he really had a willingness to fight Terence Crawford. And I always thought the plan for him was to, they always said, with Spence, like, he's going to clean up his side of the street and then go after Crawford. But, look where we are now. And then Crawford's a diva because, he's fighting David Avanesyan and he freaking avoided Jerron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz. So that's what it is. Chris Andre says, Daniel Yulusinov has been desperate for a fight for ages, and he was begging PBC for a contract. Him versus Boots is a great technical fight and will be Boots' best opponent. Sign me up. Yeah, but these guys don't want to fight Daniel Yulusinov. They know how good he is. He would really mess up a lot of the welterweight division's landscape, Chris. And I'm right there with you. I love Daniel Yulusinov. Everybody in boxing I know personally who sparred Daniel Yulusinov has said, like, I've had at least 3 fighters tell me Daniel Yulusinov is the best fighter they've ever sparred. So his peers, the guys that have to fight him, that are in the ring with him, they think highly of him. No doubt about it. Yeah, Justin, like, sometimes I get a bit animated and whatnot. I like Crawford and Spence. I like Crawford more than I like Spence. But they're both good fighters. I've spent my own money over the years flying to go cover their fights, and I've invested a lot of time and energy covering their career, so obviously I'm a fan. I'm just kind of over the fight at this point, and I would rather get to a place where the division moves forward. Lou Memorabilia says, what are your thoughts on Spence's video? Showed him high or drunk on some lean. Are you speaking about the video that came out recently where, like, he's with his girlfriend and she said that she ran his ass over with a car? Is that the one you're talking about? But, like, his girlfriend's on top of him and she's talking about, oh, baby, do you want to go to Dubai? That one? Because I just seen that today. I don't know if that's an old video or a new video. Yeah, that one. Oh, I think it's bad. I think it's a bad sign for Spence, and I think Errol Spence's fans need to be worried about a lot more than just a Crawford Spence fight. They need to be worried about that man's okay, because she said in the video that he cheated on her, and then he's got 2 baby mamas, and they're both I don't want to get into the man's personal life, but Errol Spence has some demons outside the ring, as we all do in life. And, I'm sure this has been a very stressful time for him with all the backlash, with the whole Crawford fight happening and not happening. So it's not crazy that crazy things are happening to him. But hopefully, for his sake, he goes ahead and he gets himself right. And may God be with him. If he's got issues with multiple women, then may God be with him, because that baby mama drama will stress a man out. I mean, I wouldn't know because I'm too smart. I'm too smart and rational to get caught up with these women out here like that. But, that's just me. Isn't it funny that Yulusinov can't seem to get a contract? Then he was saying recently that if he doesn't fight by the end of this year, he'll retire. It's mad at promoter isn't picking him up. And I spoke about that. About how this is an example of how boxing is not about who's the best. It's a business that masquerades itself as a sport. Truth be told, Daniel Yulusinov is easily a top 15 welterweight. Easily. Like, if he's active in fight, he's easily a top 15 welterweight. the southpaw boxing skills, the pedigree he has, the skills that he brings to the ring, he would mess up a lot of guys in this division, and he would make a lot of fighters look bad. But he's high risk, low reward, and I hate using that phrase, but that's the phrase they're going to use when they describe him. And it really is a shame, and I hate the fact that he's not going to be able to get a chance to realize all that potential he had. Being that he's a gold medalist. JJ Romano says that's why Bud said he knows what they're doing over there. Yeah, I mean, listen, in the boxing world, I know people in the boxing world. I get told things all the time, but I don't believe everything I hear, because a lot of times people just start rumors. So, listen, maybe Bud knows something we don't, but it's clear to see with that video that Earl Spence, he ain't in the best state of mind. You know what I'm saying? He's not in the best place he's been at in his life. But listen, guys, on that note, look, I've had a great live. We've knocked out about 2 hours and some change of boxing talk. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I'll probably be live tomorrow, and I'll try to come on here and talk about what happened with the WBC mandatories and the latest at the WBC convention. And program reminder, guys, make sure you guys join us Saturday for the Saturday night for the live fight reactions for Montana Love and Stevie Spark and Johnny Beck, Amlin Kanuli, and Denzel Bentley. And then Sunday night, we'll be live for Floyd versus Deji. So on that note, you guys take care. God bless. Keep checking out the content. Subscribe, because I'm just I'm just a kid from Daniel who loves the sport of boxing, doing his thing, trying to get to 50,000 subscribers as soon as possible before I turn 28 next February. So I would like to be there before my birthday next year. So help me get there. Keep supporting the channel. And you guys take care and enjoy the rest of your night. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you guys can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.